planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
She is back from the road. Our eco-journalist, our host, I was going to say, for It's the Planet Stupid. She's Belinda Weymouth. Yeah. Hi, Belinda.
Hi. How is everyone? How are
we? Are well. We are excited to have you back. Where were you?
Well, I was in Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. And it was absolutely fantastic and amazing. And I have two good eco stories to share with you guys from the road.
Please.
So, yeah. Should we go right into those, or should we talk about what's happening in the world a little bit first? You tell me.
Whatever you want. It's your segment. You decide. Spencer Griffin saying, Mark, would you and Belinda please discuss what might happen with federal lands, wild lands under the next administration? What about Anwar, for example, national parks? You can start there if you want. Spencer Griffith wants you to start there.
Okay. Let's do that next week, Spencer, because...
There's a lot there, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's so much going on because we've got COP29 happening right now, and they're down to the final days and the negotiations. And of course, it's, they're talking about money, what our developed countries going to give to the developing countries. And the EU is talking, hey, we're going to give you 200 to 300 billion. And the developing countries are saying, no, we need trillions of dollars, not billions. And the good thing is that, China is talking about, what they can do, and they're being pressured, and there are all these sort of side negotiations happening because China wasn't initially designated as one of the donor countries because in the 1990s, the UN designated them not a developed country, and so they didn't get into the donor portion of
that's
the
interesting.
Of the group. Yeah. But the fact is they're the biggest greenhouse gas emitter now. They don't think they'll ever surpass the US for total greenhouse gas emissions, but they've already passed all 27 EU countries, and they are ahead of the US now with their emissions. And they are putting money into Africa, as far as energy production goes. But all the developed nations have to do more. And one of the things that I think about often with this is they don't talk about the geopolitical side of it. And maybe it's too much of a touchy subject, but you know how we have this incredible reaction worldwide to migrants right now. There are too many of them. Everyone's trying to stop them coming in. Trump will be, building that wall, January 22nd, or 21st, or, adding to the wall, the bits of his wall that haven't fallen over, or maybe the bits that have fallen over, he'll be putting them back up. And European countries are paying North African countries to use their militia to stop, Africans getting on boats to try and get across the Mediterranean to European countries. But the reason, and we've talked about this before on the show, there are people on the move because of droughts and things, Kim just talked about, and thank you, Kim, for having that piece of environmental news in your news broadcast. Hurricanes are 18% worse because of climate change. Well, we're getting worse droughts and more hunger, and that's a huge push factor when it comes to migration. And so the spending of money, the investing of money in developing countries that are really being affected by climate change and by droughts is super, super important, especially as this migration is sort of pushing this mass movement to, populist, nationalistic kind of right-wing governments. We're seeing this the world over. So maybe that's too heady and too kind of big.
You're saying essentially that the environmental issues and these migrant issues come together, and they come together in a big, ugly mess that's being played out all across the world. I think it's very, very much on point. But let's, to your first comment, we'll pick up more on this next week. Maybe we can do it in a succinct way that still allows us to get to other things, because we have so much to get to in this segment right now. But I do think that snapshot that you just gave us was a useful one. And these countries that are meeting now with varying degrees of either responsibility or leaning in with help as to the overall problem, even as though it falls well short of what has to be expected. That's all worth noting. And that list is going to change and shift as this new administration comes in as well. So please go ahead, Belinda, with the other stuff, because I'm curious about your trip and what you learned from the trip related to what you care about, which is, eco-journalism.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I loved, and I'd really love to have have the guys on who are doing this in Laos, but it's really difficult because of the time difference. But anyway, I'm going to see if I can get one of them to agree to getting up in the middle of the night to come on the show and talk to us, because what they're doing is really amazing. So
and we can record something too. That's always an option. So we can change the time. Yeah. Anyway, please proceed. Go ahead.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So the bear bile industry in Asia is huge, and it is thousands and thousands of beautiful bears, sun bears, moon bears, all these incredible animals. And so we visited one of the sanctuaries of Free the Bears. And
wait a minute, because just to be clear, bear bile, when you say it's huge, what is it?
So to back up and give everyone, so everyone is aware of crazy things like rhino horns, and that Asians believe that a rhino's horn is a super aphrodisiac. And
some
I've
Asians
said it
believe it, right? Okay.
And I'll say it again. Yeah. Sorry. I don't want to, So a rhino's horn is exactly like our fingernails. It's a glutenated hair, people. That's all it is. It has no medicinal benefits whatsoever. And the other horrible industry is this, and there are others as well, obviously, but the one I want to focus on today is bear bile. So bear bile, they have been using it since the 1st century. And bile, is made in the liver, it's stored in the gallbladder. And now what's happened is thousands and thousands, they say in China alone, 10,000 bears are kept in cages. And these cages are small, they often can't stand up, they can't turn around. They're kept in there for their whole lives. They're not fed enough, they're dehydrated. And they do live harvesting, which is absolutely revolting, because... Just
to be clear, not to interrupt again, but bile, just to explain what it is, it's a digestive...
acid. And so
it breaks
the name
down,
of it
breaks down things in digestion. Go ahead.
Yes. It's ursodeoxycholic acid. But here's the crazy thing about it. So yes, it can help with gallstones and it can help with liver disease, but you can synthetically make this acid. But unfortunately, what people believe is it's a cure-all for so many different things: acne, hangovers, indigestion, cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on. During COVID, Chinese, people were being encouraged to get injections that had bear bile in them. And what used to happen was they used to kill the bears and get their gallbladders out to get the bile. Now what they do is they go, hey, if we keep the bears alive for 10 years, even if it's in these horrific conditions, we just can harvest continuously from them. And we have this bear bile. Now, where we were staying, Mark, in Luang Prabang, which is this beautiful World UNESCO, heritage site in Laos, they are selling, like just down the road from the hotel we were in, there are all these bear bile products. They're putting it in shampoo and in toothpaste. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, because when you look at the conditions that the bears are kept in order to harvest this bear bile, it's so inhumane. And they will kill a mother in the wild, a mother bear, take her cubs and use them, for the bear bile as they get, old enough to start harvesting.
And again, it's I'm trying to remember, it's like a, not a pipe, but what am I trying to say? Like a, there's a little, they connect something into the bear. Is that how they do it?
They drain. What they do is they call it a fistula. So it's you make a a hollow device. They're using non-veterinarians to do this, and they sort of puncture into the bear's side where they think the gallbladder is. Now, they often miss, and then they insert a tube. And so
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, it's a tube. Yeah. And they just harvest continuously the bile from the bear. Now, it's inhumane. It's awful. They have crush cages, which
restrict the movement. Right.
Yeah, they even have these metal jackets, which are like a medieval torture device that they use to hold the bear still. But the problem is they've analyzed the bile that they get out of them. Now they sell it as a liquid, they sell it in powder and pill form. It has pus in it. It has urine, feces, bacteria. It has cancer cells, because a lot of these bears develop cancer because the conditions that they're being farmed in are so revolting. And it did come on. I see someone talking about, what about animal rights? So it got on the radar in the 90s. And when people discovered how huge this industry is and how ghastly it is, there was a big outcry. Now, the Chinese government, they have the most bears. They're saying 10,000 bears are in cages. They said, well, we're now regulating it. The fistula, the tube has to be a natural one that's made out of the bear's own tissue, and it's okay. Well, I don't see how you can make a bear.
I'm ready to stipulate at this point to the fact that this is a horrifying, awful process of they call it harvesting. I mean, even we've used the term here. It's despicable. It's grotesque.
Yeah,
it's incredibly inhumane. It's terrible. So now let me get to the rescue part of it. If I don't mean to, but I just want to try to get people to sort of more hopeful, because you did visit a reserve, I guess, a sanctuary. Thank you for the bears that are.
I sent footage of the bears that we saw, and so these are rescued bears, and they look fantastic. Though there are pictures that they show of them when they first get them, and they've been in these awful cage, these sort of metal jackets, and so they're minus hair. I mean, these bears will. Some of them actually, they self-mutilate. They do all kinds of things because it's so ghastly. But these are rescued bears. So there's an organization, Free the Bears. They're not the only ones that are in Asia. There are lots of different ones. But this is in Laos. And these bears are now, getting to hang out in these enclosures. And obviously, you'd prefer them to be in the wild. But the fact that they're in an enclosure. And the interesting thing about this one is there are hundreds of thousands of tourists coming through this area because it's on a way to this really beautiful waterfall. And a lot of them are Chinese tourists. And so they don't do a really heavy-hitting thing about the bear bile, but they do show the conditions that they've been living in. But they are rescuing hundreds of bears, and they are rescuing bear cubs, and they are rehabilitating them, and they are raising awareness. And the thing that I thought might be interesting for some of our listeners, since we have holiday season coming up. So Free the Bears organization, you can become a sponsor of a bear. You can adopt a bear. There are all these different ways that you can become involved. And a thing I like to do at Christmas, or at gift giving time, is think about people who I know already have tons of material goods and what would they like to do. And I did this for my father-in-law a few years ago, and I gave him a gift, for protecting grizzly bears. And he was kind of a grizzly bear of a man. Well, he loved it. He loved it. He thought it was so cool. And I think it's, it's just, those are sun bears. They have that lovely little sort of like a collar of tan colored fur under their throats. These bears have 30-centimeter long tongues. I mean, almost a foot long tongue, so they can, get stuff that's in the middle of trees. Here are the workers who work at this sanctuary. And, it's small, but they are rescuing more and more bears all the time. And, bears aren't the only animals that are endangered, because the thing is, you can catch a wild animal, it costs you nothing, and you can, in Laos you can see them in markets. They're selling snakes, they're selling tortoises, all these wild animals, civets, monkeys, but the more they're talking about bear bile in California, someone in the comments, I'm like, what?
Oh
Maybe
yeah, that was just a
yeah.
They catch people once in a while trying to poach bears in California for their bile. That may or may not be, but the reality is it's mostly an Asian thing, and it's across Asia. I mean, right. I mean,
it's across Asia, but they find bear bile, the products, they find them in Australia and other countries. If you've got a big population who believe that this has medicinal value, you're going to be able to find a market for it. And the fact they're putting it in toothpaste and shampoo, this is idiotic. You don't need to put bear bile on your hair. It's just,
as you say, they're seeing it in some kind of medicinal way. So this this sanctuary, maybe we can post a link to it, Albert, underneath this video, and also underneath the breakout video of It's the Planet Stupid, and you can help free the bears and protect the bears, become a bear carer, as they say. And the actual website, though, for those who are listening, who are not watching on YouTube and probably will just listen across the various audio platforms, give us the website, if you would, please, Belinda.
So it's Free the Bears. That's what it is. It's Free the
.com
Bears.
or .org?
Yeah. Like www. freethebears.com.
Yeah, I get it, but is it .com? Yeah. Okay, so it's freethebears.com. Freethebears.com. Okay, cool. Again, it's heartbreaking. So I think it's a great idea.
It's .org. It's not .com. It's .org.
Okay. Can we get our act together on this show? We don't even know what the my God. It's good. We got 10 minutes about
it's my first day back.
We don't even know it's .com or .org. How dare you?
It's my first day back. Give me a break.
This is a word from the Lord, and He's not happy.
Yeah, the Lord's not happy. Get your act together on .org.com. It's .org. Freethebears.org. All right. Anyway, Albert will put a link to it under this video. But if you're listening, that's a great idea for just for the giving season. Adopt a bear, and I think it's a very it's a clever way to support. What else do you have for us?
Yeah. Well, okay. So one of that story that you sent me the other day about the droughts and how they're stopping countries like Zambia, who were going to be running on 100% hydropower, but because of droughts, the Zambezi is down to a little trickle. So energy, I think, is very important right now, because we also have this burgeoning AI and cryptocurrency, and the amount of energy that this stuff uses is unbelievable. AI, they're saying by 2026 will be using as much energy as the whole country of Japan. Japan right now has 120 million people living in it. So what's happening because of AI and this insatiable need for energy and crypto is we are turning, and some listeners are always asking about this, to nuclear. They're about to bring back online one of the reactors, not one of the reactors that failed, but one of the reactors that didn't fail at 3 Mile Island. Very infamous, because in 1979, that was the worst commercial nuclear power plant accident. And it's being brought back online to power Microsoft's data centers. And everyone I know who works in crypto is saying, yes, nuclear, we're going to have nuclear. Bill Gates has already put $1 billion into nuclear for AI. And Elon Musk, of course, he wants his own power plant. So there is going to be this shift. And as I have said often on the show, the thing about nuclear is it's, always over budget. It's always blows by its date when it's supposed to be coming online. It takes longer than we thought. But what happened last year, because of the droughts that happened, India and China, which both, China in particular, that Three Gorges hydro plant that they have, they produce a lot of hydro, but because of droughts, India and China, along with other countries, had to use more coal. They had to revert to burning more coal for energy. And so when we thought greenhouse gas emissions were actually going to be lower last year, they weren't. For energy, electricity production, they were higher. So, I think it's going to be inevitable because our need for energy is going to be increasing because of these technologies. I mean, one of the things they say about AI is it could help us solve climate change. And it does seem to me like we do need some entity that can really see the big picture with the climate and all the different factors that are going on, like the geopolitical, what's happening politically in the world and how, that ties in. But
that's what the COP nations are supposed to be doing, and isn't that that's the idea, that we get everybody together and that we make a plan, both when it comes to climate and climate change. That's what COP24 is about, or energy policy, such that the world works together. I mean, that is the idea. I just think as a practical matter, it's very hard for this stuff to happen because nations' interests aren't all aligned, and so you end up in some sort of adversarial relationship with a lot of the other nations at the table, Yeah.
I mean, but we're in this, it's a real juggling act right now, and we just have to get smart about it. I mean, we really, really do. Because, the shift to renewables is happening no matter what administration, we have here in the US. The shift is happening. It makes business sense. So it is happening. And I mean, we'll obviously see what happens in the new year and, what the Trump administration might be able to walk back. But I think there is other things that there's already so much momentum, with them moving forward.
Well, as I say, they're competing interests even within this new administration. So you end up with, having to handle the oil and gas lobbies and concerns, wealthy donors. And that's in both parties, by the way. But Trump obviously has, really bows to them. And so this gets back to something you'll talk about next week when you talk about ANWR, the Alaska National Wildlife Refuge, and these pristine landscapes that will be defiled by oil drilling. It seems inevitable under this administration. They'll at least be green lit. Sometimes it's not going to serve the bottom line for them to do it. For actually them get into developing those various oil and gas rigs can be expensive, and sometimes it doesn't serve their bottom line at that moment in time. But the leases are clearly going to be granted by this administration. So,
and then begins the legal fight. And the legal fights can, be long and arduous. So yes, we will see what happens. But
here's something for you. Debbie says, I worked in the Jinnah nuclear power plant in upstate New York in my 20s. Right after, quote, a minor accident. All these plants are well overdue for revamping. It is true that it's like old technology that is at 3 Mile Island and even at Diablo Canyon. I mean, these are nuclear power plants that really have old school technologies in them. Yet we're bringing them back online.
Yeah, fission, not fusion, and fusion is the way that we're going. That's what Bill Gates and everyone wants to do.
Well, that would be a real technological breakthrough. I mean, if you could, break through in that area. All right, we'll call it a day today. I love that you went to the bear bile
rescue facility,
area. And, it's funny, we did have an elephant rescue person on. Lek is her name. Lek's a pretty common name, I think, over that way. And she runs an elephant rescue charity. And that was a couple of years ago. We had her on the radio with us at KGO. I was there in Laos not too long ago. I want to say it's like 4 years ago. I loved it there. Never even knew about the bear bile rescue and refuge that I saw the markets and all the rest, but I feel like you just gave me a window on Laos that I didn't have when I was there. And you were in Luang Prabang, is that what you said?
Luang Prabang. And actually, we went to an elephant rescue, female elephants who've been rescued from the logging industry. So I could talk about that next week because they were really fantastic. They were cool.
It's a great community, that Luang Prabang. We had a great stay there. but we're there for I think for like 5 days. But I feel now cheated, like I have to go back to go to see the elephant.
You do.
Yeah.
Oh, to see these bears and the elephants. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the bears again. And again, the
beautiful.
link to these bears is underneath this video in YouTube. Belinda, thank you. Love having you back, and I look forward to next week. Thanks a lot. Belinda Weymouth, everybody.
You guys. Bye-bye.
That's It's the Planet Stupid.
More
It's the Planet Stupid.
No, it's the planet, stupid.
next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.